What if I told you that the secret to deeply attracting a woman, so much that she becomes wildly attached, even obsessed, has nothing to do with charm, looks, or clever words, but everything to do with ancient wisdom whispered by men who sat in silence under the stars? Most men chase, perform, and prove themselves. But the men women become magnetized too. Those few who seem to cast a spell without trying are tuned to something older, something eternal. You're not here for tips and tricks. You're here to unlock what's been buried inside the masculine soul for centuries. A key that, once turned, will change how women feel you forever. Type this in the comments if it resonates. The man who does not chase is the man who is chased. And if you're ready to go deeper, if you're tired of shallow advice and ready for ancient truth, tap the like button so YouTube knows you're one of the few searching for something real. Now let me ask you something that might sound strange. Have you ever noticed how some men walk into a room and women seem to sense them before they even speak? It's not about being loud. It's not about dominance. It's not even about confidence. It's about presence, an invisible power cultivated in silence, honed through restraint, sharpened in solitude. Stoicism isn't cold detachment. It's the furnace that forges an inner gravity, a way of being that doesn't seek validation, but draws others in, like a hidden flame in the wilderness. And when a woman feels this energy, not in her mind, but in her body, something ancient awakens in her. A longing she can't explain, an attachment she can't resist. This isn't manipulation, it's remembrance. We are going to uncover 7 timeless forces that awaken something primal and magnetic in women. But this isn't about seduction, it's about mastery, the mastery of self. The quiet authority of a man who doesn't need to prove his worth because he has already found it within. And no, you won't hear this in dating podcasts or relationship forums, because this knowledge isn't new, it's ancient, and it was never meant for the masses. Stay with me until the end, because each of these 7 truths is a doorway, and when you've walked through them all, you won't just understand what makes a woman attach herself to a man. You'll become the kind of man she can't let go of. Shall we begin? Before modern psychology, before dating coaches, and long before digital messages reduced intimacy to emojis, there were men who understood the quiet architecture of attraction. They were not loud. They did not peacock. They did not perform. They listened. They watched. They studied the rhythms of nature and the movements of the soul. Among them were the Stoics, not monks in robes or cold philosophers in dusty halls, but warriors, rulers, and sages who lived in a world of chaos, yet carried within them a stillness that made others pause. One such man was Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, commander of legions, yet more committed to the depth of his spirit than the noise of his empire. In his personal journals, meditations, never meant for public eyes, he spoke of ruling the self before ruling the world, of detaching from praise and blame and finding the anchor within. This kind of man confuses the modern mind. How could someone be so grounded, yet so alluring, so detached, yet so desired? But here lies the paradox. Women, in their depths, are drawn to stillness, to mystery, to the man whose energy cannot be bought, distracted, or swayed, because such a man reminds her of something mythic, a force of nature, not chasing her, not ignoring her, but being so fully himself that she finds herself orbiting him. In ancient Egypt, the priests spoke of the Ka, the spiritual double of a man, his essence. Women were said to sense the ka before they saw the body, not with their eyes, but with their intuition. And the man whose ka was strong, whose spirit was not leaking through desperation or shallow craving, became a kind of sacred mirror. He didn't try to attract. He didn't need to. His being did it for him. This is not fantasy. This is forgotten knowledge. In Taoist tradition, there's a concept called Wu Wei, effortless action. It's not laziness. It's mastery so deep, the effort becomes invisible. The sage does not chase the river. He becomes the river. And this is what women feel. When a man embodies Wu Wei, Stoic detachment, and ancient presence, he triggers something evolutionary in a woman. Not just attraction, but reverence. A sense that he cannot be owned, but she wants to be close to him. Not because he demands it, but because his soul whispers something hers remembers. So why has this truth been buried? Because modern society rewards loudness. It tells men to be aggressive, to be needy, to be constantly available. It rewards performance, not presence. And women? They're flooded with signals, but starving for substance. They are exhausted by boys pretending to be men. And what they crave, deeply, instinctively, is the one thing most men have forgotten how to become. A man rooted in his own stillness. The Stoics taught that emotions are not enemies, but wild horses to be tamed. And when a man masters this inner taming, he becomes magnetic, not to all women, but to the right ones, to the women who are not looking for entertainment, but for containment, a sacred container, a grounded masculine force that allows her feminine to flow freely, wildly, without judgment. And that is the foundation. Every one of the 7 things we are about to explore is built upon this truth. You do not attract by addition, by adding charm, tricks, or personas. You attract by subtraction, by removing noise, ego, and need. And what remains is irresistible. Ready to go deeper? Let us now begin to unveil the first of the 7 silent forces that awaken a woman's deepest longing, often beyond her understanding, and certainly beyond her control. The first is emotional sovereignty. This is not just emotional control. That word is too stiff, too shallow. Sovereignty means rulership, not of kingdoms, but of one's inner realm. A man who is emotionally sovereign does not suppress emotion. He contains it. He feels but is not ruled by feeling. He can be angry but is not consumed. He can be joyful but not enslaved by it. His emotional climate is not chaotic. It is like a calm lake, deep, reflective, powerful. And when a woman meets this kind of emotional presence, something inside her melts. Why? Because her own emotions, her own storms, feel seen and held, without judgment, without fear. He does not flinch when she is sad. He does not withdraw when she is passionate. He does not explode when she challenges him. She feels safe, but not in a boring way, in a sacred way. The second force is mystery, not secrecy, but sacred distance. There's a kind of man who gives all of himself at once, pouring out every story, every opinion, every emotion in hopes of earning affection. But there is no chase in that, no space, no hunger. Mystery, by contrast, is presence wrapped in restraint. He does not reveal everything, not because he is hiding, but because he understands the power of timing. Ancient temples were not built with open doors for all to see. They had chambers, layers, thresholds. The deeper one went, the more sacred the experience. So too with the masculine soul. A woman becomes obsessed not with the man who gives everything up front, but with the man who gives her something to discover. And in the act of that unfolding, slow, steady, intentional. She bonds, not to what is shown, but to what is hinted at, to the unsaid, to the unseen, to the energy just behind his eyes that says, "You do not own me, but you may come closer." Third is the force of purpose. A man who has purpose, real purpose, is unshakable, not because life doesn't move him, but because his compass is internal. He wakes up not wondering who will love him today, but knowing what he must do. He does not wait for approval to act. He acts because he must. This purpose does not have to be grand. He does not need to be building empires or saving the world, but he must be aligned with something greater than comfort, greater than pleasure. Because when a woman feels that you are married to your purpose, she doesn't feel rejected. She feels inspired. It's not that you choose your purpose over her. It's that you are so deeply immersed in your mission that it draws her closer, like a moth to the flame. She senses that your time has weight. Your presence has value. And because you are not available to everything, your attention becomes treasured. This is a powerful paradox. The more a man clings to a woman, the more she drifts. But the more he clings to his mission, the deeper she attaches. And here we reach the fourth force, non-reactivity. A woman will test you, not because she is cruel, but because her nature is fluid, emotional, alive. She will throw storms at you, not to destroy you, but to see if you can stand in the wind. The ungrounded man fights the storm, or flees from it. The grounded man breathes through it, stands tall, feels her chaos, and remains unmoved at his center. This does not mean coldness. It means depth. It means she can scream, cry, doubt, unravel, and you remain the eye of the storm, silent, steady, safe. And in that space, she bonds, she trusts, she attaches, because she has found the one thing her soul has been aching for, containment without control. These four truths are not tactics. They're not games. They are initiations. And when a man begins to embody them, not perform, but truly become them, something ancient stirs in the feminine, a sense of home, a return, not to a man, but to a sanctuary. And once she finds it, she won't want to leave. There are 3 more hidden forces yet to be revealed. Now let us continue with the remaining 3 forces, the ones that move beneath the surface, often unnoticed, yet capable of shaping destiny in the realm between man and woman. These are not merely behaviors, they are states of being, and when activated, they awaken in her something deeper than desire, a spiritual attachment that feels like fate. The 5th force is selective attention. Most men scatter their energy. They flatter every woman. They try to please everyone. They are at their core insecure, not because they say they are, but because their attention is too cheap. But the man who withholds his gaze, his words, his presence, until they are earned, becomes magnetic. Why? Because the feminine does not crave constant approval. She craves meaning, depth, recognition with weight. When a man looks at her not to consume her beauty, but to see into her essence, it feels different. It feels holy. In ancient Sufi poetry, this is called the gaze of the beloved, a look that pierces through the layers and touches the soul beneath the surface. Women are not obsessed with men who notice their bodies. They are obsessed with the men who notice their being. And here is the twist. That power only belongs to the man who has disciplined his attention. He does not flatter out of habit. He does not pursue out of loneliness. He waits, he watches, he studies. And when he speaks, when he chooses, his presence carries the weight of 1,000 silences. This brings us to the 6th force, embodied calm. This is more than stillness. This is a frequency. You can't fake it. You can't perform it. It's not what you say, it's how your body feels in space. Your breath, your shoulders, your jaw. Are you relaxed or braced for rejection? When a woman comes near you, her nervous system picks up everything yours is doing, even if neither of you speak. She senses your heart rate, your tension, your steadiness. And a man who has trained himself, through breath, through solitude, through inner work, to remain soft yet grounded, becomes a sanctuary to her. We are animals, after all, and the woman's body, even more than her mind, responds to safety. Not safety in the weak sense of the word, but primal, anchoring, unwavering energy. That's what makes her feel safe to let go, to express, to attach. There's a reason why in ancient tribes, the shaman didn't speak first. He sat quietly, he breathed, he let others come to him, not through authority, but through the invisible pull of his centered being. And finally, the seventh force, sacred indifference. This is not coldness. This is not arrogance. This is the man who, in loving deeply, does not cling. He is open to connection, but not dependent on it. He cherishes presence, but does not worship possession. He holds love lightly, not because he fears it, but because he understands its nature. True attachment from a woman does not come when you try to keep her. It comes when she feels that you would be whole, with or without her. And this drives her wild, because most men wrap their identity around her affection. They collapse when she pulls away. They panic when she tests. But the rare man, the sovereign man, he stays unmoved. Not because he doesn't care, but because he has built a home inside himself. And when a woman senses that, when she realizes that your love is not needy, but free, she attaches, not from fear, but from devotion. These seven forces are not visible to the average eye. They are subtle, energetic, ancient, and yet they form the unseen architecture of obsession, not the toxic kind, but the sacred kind. The kind that draws a woman into your orbit, not because you asked her to, but because she feels that nowhere else can she rest the way she can with you. You are not just a man. You are an experience, a rhythm, a quiet storm she cannot explain. Now that you've seen the blueprint, would you like to live it? Now that the veils have been lifted and you see the forces behind deep, feminine attachment, the question becomes, how do you become this man? Not in theory, not in spirit alone, but in your breath, in your walk, in your gaze, in every cell of your being. The transformation begins not in trying to attract women, but in forgetting that need entirely. Let us begin with emotional sovereignty. Each morning before the world touches you, before your phone, your emails, the noise, sit in stillness. Just 10 minutes. No music, no stimulation. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? And who is the observer that notices it? This simple question cracks open a deeper awareness. You are not your mood. You are not your thoughts. You are not your hunger for validation. You are the witness. And the more time you spend in that space, the less reactive you become. Emotional sovereignty is not a mask. It is a practice. You cannot fake calm. You must build it, moment by moment. Next, to cultivate mystery, practice strategic restraint. You don't have to share everything in conversation. When she asks questions, answer with depth, but not with full exposure. Let silence be part of your language. Leave room for her to explore you, discover you. Instead of flooding her with details, ask meaningful questions. She will begin to feel that being near you is not about performance. It's about presence. Let your life reveal itself in layers, not monologues. Mystery is not about withholding. It's about timing. The sacred is always hidden behind the veil. Let her lift it slowly. To root into purpose, create a non-negotiable mission window each day. 1 hour, minimum, dedicated to something greater than yourself. Your art, your craft, your learning. This must exist regardless of who comes or goes from your life. Why? Because when you sacrifice your mission for connection, you lose both. But when your mission stays steady, you become like the sun. She revolves not around your need, but your gravity. Let your mission speak louder than your mouth. Now, breath. Every man must master his nervous system. When you feel anxiety rise, when you feel like texting too much, explaining yourself, fixing her mood, pause. Place your hand on your stomach. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6. Do this for 5 minutes every evening. Make it a ritual, a temple. It teaches your body to stay calm, even when the world does not. Over time, your very presence will feel different to her. You will no longer be just a man. You will be a ground. And she, in her storm, will trust you as a shore. Selective attention is cultivated through disciplined detachment. If you find yourself wanting to give attention to everyone, pause. Ask yourself, is this genuine admiration, or is it a trade for approval? Then, each week, practice choosing quality over quantity. Write down the 5 people, men or women, who truly deserve your attention. Invest in them. Look them in the eyes when you speak. Give them your time fully, and withdraw it from those who drain your soul. Your energy is currency. Stop spending it like loose change. To embody sacred indifference, train yourself in non-attachment. This does not mean apathy. It means love without clutching, care without control, affection without fear of loss. One exercise: each time you feel a surge of panic, insecurity, or longing, write a note to yourself, not to her, to yourself. Say, I release the outcome. I am already whole. I am already home. This is not weakness. It is strength of the highest kind. And when she senses that your love is free, not fragile, she will return to you with reverence. Lastly, create rituals of solitude. Take long walks alone. Sit under the night sky. Read philosophy instead of scrolling. Fast for 1 day, not from food, but from attention. Withdraw, not as punishment, but as return to the sacred. Remember, she will never crave the man who is always present like background noise. She will crave the man who disappears, to become more of himself. These practices are not fast. They are not hacks. They are initiations. But if you walk them truly, you will not need to chase. You will not need to persuade. You will be the sanctuary. You will be the pulse. You will be the deep stillness she clings to when everything else feels like chaos. When you're ready, I will share the conclusion, where all of this weaves together, not just as philosophy, but as a way of being. And now, we arrive at the final breath of this journey. You've seen behind the curtain. You've felt the ancient rhythm that few men ever learn to move with. This is not about seduction. This is about becoming. The 7 forces that make a woman wildly attached are not tricks. They are not surface-level tactics. They are echoes of something older, something elemental, something that once guided kings, sages, and warriors, not in pursuit of women, but in pursuit of self-mastery. And when that mastery is real, deep, calm, unshakable, it becomes irresistible. You've learned that emotional sovereignty isn't a mood. It's the art of being unfazed by the tides of others, because the man who is moved by every gust of emotion is like a leaf in the wind, directionless, forgettable. But the man who remains centered, no matter the storm, becomes a landmark in her psyche. She returns to him in thought, in memory, in longing, because he is rare. You've learned that mystery is not about being secretive. It's about depth, and depth cannot be faked. It is earned through solitude, introspection, the refining fire of your own silence. You've seen that a man on a mission is not distracted by validation. He walks towards something eternal. And women, though they may test him, pull at him, even doubt him, are drawn to that fire, because it reminds them of something they forgot, that devotion is not to comfort. It is to meaning. You felt the truth of selective attention, how the rarest love is not loud, but deliberate, and that when a woman feels seen, not as a body, but as a being, her walls collapse, not because you took them down, but because your presence made them unnecessary.